Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream. We got some important stuff to cover today, so why don't we just dive right into it? Okay. You might be asking why I always start on the 9-minute time frame on this live stream. It's because one of my hotkeys is the number 9, and that's how I do the transition. So, there's your answer. Okay, let's record this. Beautiful. Okay. Good morning, folks. We had quite an interesting move today on Bitcoin, and that deserves to be looked at. Okay? Ah, Christ, let me start over. What a terrible train of thought. I'm going to do this again. Okay. So, we had this big old drop on Bitcoin the other day, and we should actually talk about why, what happened, and at least how we might have been able to catch this. And actually, I want to talk about my last analysis as well, because something funny did happen, right? I'm going to point that out. It was the failed mean reversion condition, okay? So, entertainingly enough, the mean reversion condition technically didn't fail. It was just that the relative CCI roll down was much higher than I anticipated. So let's talk about this, okay? Our longest overexpanded period is 240. So if we load up the 240 band, we will identify the pivot for mean reversion. 240. Okay. Right? And you'll notice just how well defined this actually, this pivot was for defining trend. You know, and we dipped into the band, we retested it, and then mean reversion was implied, right? So technically, in order to get entry into this kind of position, you want 1/10 of the period as a CCI roll down. So since we have 240 on that band right there, if we load up the 24 period on the CCI, right, that's technically our entry condition into the mean reversion. And I'm not cherry picking this. If you check my last TradingView idea, which was around right here, I said that, well, maybe this is just too high to be a CCI roll down, so I'm going to ignore it, right? The trend seems defined. And entertainingly enough, the actual condition for a short did hit. And let me just point out where the short condition actually hit, or the short signal, excuse me. Right? So, re-entry of this band was the condition for reversion to this mean right here. Okay? Then the signal is a 24 period CCI roll down. And if you look real nice and close, that signal would have triggered right here. Okay? So this candle at the very top was technically our short signal. And I chose to ignore it, which is a little irksome. Right? Because once the condition triggers, it's very unlikely that new trend will begin until we are reverted to the relative mean. And typically we get high price volatility at this pivot, right? And you just take the CCI roll downs. But I was deceived by just how high this move actually ran before the reversion hit, right? So another way to think about this is, because the condition was hit, it was very difficult for trend to continue until the reversion actually finished. So, interesting chart, and it was a really good profit ratio on this, because if we took that CCI roll down, my God, that would have been such a good position. But hindsight is 2020. And let's actually talk about the new overexpansion as well, just so we can get a good perspective on what's currently happening and what reversion we're expecting now, right? Currently, we're looking at the 100 period. So we'll change this to 100 band and point out what we should expect. Okay, so as soon as we crossed this pivot right here, it was implied we would revert to the 100 mean. We will revert to the 100 mean before any new kind of trend can begin. So I have a short-term bullish outlook, at least to the 100 moving average. Do keep in mind lateral trading can be defined by this 100 period. So that might take the form in lateral chop, as we repeatedly retest the bottom edge of this band, and the mean travels down to meet price. Alternatively, we could just continue this trend and pop straight up to the mean, and I'd be fine with that too. And then we will trade laterally as defined by this compressing range until the 100 period reads below a 0.7 value in the 3D lathe PM. In other words, turns green. So short-term bullish outlook, or at least short-term lateral trading outlook. I do recommend setting up some alerts around 3,910, or that's a little bit too high, around 3,880, right? Because any kind of test down to that level is going to see a very strong upward move. So if we ever do test down to this region, that's going to be really good for us, because then we're going to be able to do a high profit ratio trade, maybe 0.5% downside and a 3.5% upside. So, I mean, it's a clean chart. We're in a range that we can easily predict now. You know, it's a lot easier to predict compression over trend, in my opinion. At least on Bitcoin. On altcoins, it's easier to predict trend over compression, and that's partially to do with their market cap and to do with their respective volatility, right? Because Bitcoin is much more prone to ignition momentum. In other words, stop losses beget stop losses ever since the market became over leveraged, right? Which is why we get these huge moves, because, well, when one stop loss triggers and it's a market stop, it'll hit another, and they just go plummeting and barreling through everything there. So that's why we get these huge moves that we like to call barding, right? It's just the symptom of an over-leveraged market, right? And that doesn't happen in a lot of altcoins, which actually makes trend identification much easier. And, you know, because Bitcoin sees these huge moves, well, then the resulting reactionary moves, which we call compression, are much more predictable because, well, of the frequency and how neat the generated mass is, right? These huge, beautiful, clean plumes are really easy to read, right? Because if we check something, say, like Forex, let's just do USD Japanese yen, right? You'll notice that the mass generation is a lot more subtle than Bitcoin, and that's actually what makes Bitcoin so easy for me to trade, right? Is that we don't ever get these little trickling plumes of mass on Bitcoin because the moves are very defined. Right? And that's why I'm always happy to trade Forex whenever we see a relative move like this, right? Panic selling in this instance, right? Because the generated mass is going to have a very reactionary counter move and period of compression, right? All right, how much you bet? Let's just check this out. All right, longest overexpanded period is 150. Was that 160? 160. So let's just load up a 160 period band, and I'm just going to point out how clean this particular period of compression was. Okay, we're looking at that light blue band. Awesome. So as long as this period is not green and turns green right here, right, it will trade laterally as defined by that band. So when it gets re-entered at this location, price reverts to the relative mean and rejects from the top edge of the band. Well, because price can't trend outside of it. And then lateral trading ensues. It's really clean. Whenever we get huge, significant moves, easy trading ensues. And that's why I like Bitcoin so much, is the ignition momentum generates really clean readings of mass. Okay. Well, that's about all I have to say today. It has been a pleasure. I'll talk to you all later. Nice, guys. Good idea today. Okay. No, not okay. Cool. Let me load up the YouTube comments here, see what you guys are thinking. As I will pour myself some more tea. Okay. GBP USD. Pen plus one, okay. Magnificent. I spilled some tea on here. I don't want to ruin the sweater. I might use my green screen. No, I'll just leave it. 19 viewers. Hi, guys. Okay, GBP USD. Get your questions in, folks. GBP USD. Yeah, viewership's been up recently. It's probably because this is a good show. I'm gonna need to get a paper towel. Hold on. Or my dog's blanket. I'm gonna do that. Yes, I am wearing shorts. Okay. Silver. Okay, GBP USD. We're looking at the daily chart. Trend defined by the 50 period. That's probable. 5,200, perfect. I don't know about that. No significant mass on the daily. About to get a decent... Oh, that's my breakout. Hold on. Yeah. Ooh, baby, this is a breakout about to happen. Yeah, I'm slightly bullish on this chart. Gonna get some new upward expansion. Let's see how a trend is defined by 40. Yeah, we're above the top edge of the 40, all right. So, yeah, impending wave PM cross. All the CCI periods are to the upside. I think this is about to break out. Like, significant breakout, yeah. This might begin some long-term trending. Okay. Wow. That's pretty impressive. I like this chart. See if we can identify an entry on the shorter time frame. How much do you bet that this little wick here is reversion to the mean? Like, to the number. Or to the pip, if you will. No. We've got segmented mass. I don't know how to deal with that. How curious. Okay. XAGUSD. Man, this needs to be heavily shorted. Somebody look this up for me. How much do you bet that short to long ratios on silver are at least 80 to 20? Right, 80% shorts and 20% longs. How much do you bet? It's just too obvious in my opinion. I'm going to show you what everybody's looking at right now. Okay, everybody cares about this. Okay, just from the fractal nature of this, we had this huge compressing range and then consistent short selling when it broke. And now everyone thinks we're retesting it from the bottom, and once, twice, and then expecting trend continuation, right? So, I think there's going to be a reactionary move to the upside, just for a hunt for liquidity. I recommend trying to catch a short entry on the touch of the 3.2 standard deviation. Okay? That's your best bet. I like it. Yeah, you can actually look up the short to long ratio of someone. Oh my god, is it really 95 to 5? My god. Retail traders are so predictable. that was slightly arrogant of me, but it's just too obvious. All right, we had the descending triangle over here, the downward break, and now we're retesting it from below. Of course everybody's going to be short. So that's why, really, you want to use volatility to enter this kind of position, because there will be a reactionary move to the upside, and you want to catch that, right? If you can catch the 3.2 standard deviation tag for the downside, then you're going to be really good, right? Because that's the only true overbought signal I'm ever going to consider. All right, the only time I actually ever consider something overbought is when it's tagging the 3.2 standard deviation while there's significant expansion. Okay? But the fact that it's actually 95 to 5, it surpassed my expectations, is pretty ridiculous. Because I remember it being about 92 to 8 around here, and they actually did pretty well for themselves. But there are really expecting that volatility pop to the upside. Right? And that's actually what I am perceiving these to be here. Those are hunch for liquidity as we run up and test the 3.2 standard deviation. Wow, really good chart, guys. BCH SV. Oh, not Tether. You kidding me? Now that's going to make that much of a difference. It's not a very nice chart. Is there anywhere you can short this? Because, I mean, there's really no reason to expect trend to end here. And it appears to be the swing high of the trend. If you can short this, I recommend doing so. Okay. XLM. I've got a bag full of XLM. I'm going to be honest. There's a mean inversion condition implied on XLM. So, really, I've got a big bag, and I'm sitting tight with it. Seriously, I've got a big bag of XLM, and I'm sitting hard on it. So I think our mean reversion condition is to the 300. Yep. Okay. Wow. Yeah, we just got our long position. Or rather, our long signal. Okay, great days. I'm long on BCH ABC, but I would be short on SV, okay? And those are very different monsters. My mustache is uneven. God damn it. You gotta tell me these things. Okay. Yeah, a bit late for entry, about like 2-3 candles ago. But this is implied a long position. Okay, nice. Dow Jones Industrial Average. Wow. How much do you bet we're generating a lot of mass on a lower time frame, right? Because this kind of sustained move has to generate something. It's not reactive enough to actually do so, it looks like. Okay, it's possible to bet on lateral trading as defined by this period here. Let's take a look at the 300. And that might have just broke. No, that wouldn't do anything because we already had a full compression. And now it's actually re-expanding from that place of compression. So that doesn't do anything for us. Daily's looking funny. Actually, no, we can identify the period of mass generated from this to find the swing high. So it's at least 100 from the looks of it. It's waiting on 3D wave PM. Okay. So we need to look for the 100 and 120. Okay. Okay. Wow, 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 wow. This is our implied resistance level. That is big. That's big. Okay. And then we could just assume lower lows. My God. All right, I'm gonna publish this just for the fun of it. If I can catch the swing high of the market, that would be massive. Good God. Let's nudge that up just a little bit more. Okay. Sure, let's publish it. Relevant pivots. What tag should we do? KGR. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's put it on Twitter. Great Days asks, how is my favorite NXT/BTC? I don't check that coin, mate. I've got a sell order in, and I'm just leaving it alone. Mind you, the sell order is 800% up from current price, but it's there. I mean, the profit ratio is 20 to 1. Good God. Lateral trading as defined by the longest over expanded period. That would be something else, my friends. This chart would go down in history. History. BCH ABC. Oh, that's kind of cute. I have a bag of this. I mean, downtrend is over and we have signs of upward expansion, so I'm just holding on to it. Who could have... Okay, like this. Netflix stock surges to new high, 2019 high, after Roma headlines 4 Oscar wins. Who could have predicted that the movie about refugees in this political climate would have won 4 Oscars? Could have made a lot of money on that. Now that I think about it. Right? Hollywood's become so political that you can actually bet that movies that are politically irrelevant are going to win awards. I actually had a conversation with my father, and he essentially like guaranteed me that Roma was going to win something just because of what the movie was about. Like, I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it other than it's about refugees, and it's a little predictable. Okay. I'm not seeing any new coins coming in. Bitcoin's doing well. Oh, I saw some people asking about XRP, so I'm just going to point this out. Then I'll be done. Right. If you want to try yourself a nice little short position on that CCI roll down, not the worst idea, right? Because we tagged that 3.2 standard deviation a few times. Consistent rejections. To bet that trend, okay, think about this. I'm going to try to find the swing high on here, because that could be very profitable. Okay, friends, this was fun. I will talk to you all later. Like this video. Please, do it. Do it for me. I'll see y'all later, folks. Have a good one.